Hello and welcome to Fearless DIY Music. My name is Tristan Lass, and today I want to talk about the Summit tube leveler that I have in my hands right here. Summit is known for making some of the best professional outboard gear out there. A lot of tube-based stuff. I think most of it is tube-based, all analog and hand-wired. Super nice stuff. There's no question that Summit makes very good quality products. And this is not a sponsored video by any stretch. I bought this little mono unit years and years and years ago. And I bought it because I wanted to have a high-end piece of gear in my studio. Something that people will go, oh, wow, that's a really nice compressor / leveler, you know. And I don't know if I would buy it today, but I'm glad that I have it. I think that it is a good unit. I thought I'd just go through how I use it and some of the settings that I found that seem to work the best. However, I do want to preface this video by saying, for the longest time, I had a hard time finding good applications for this. I found that if you hit it too hard with a microphone, if you hit it with too much input gain, that it would actually create artifacts and noise. So you really have to be careful how much input you put into the unit, because it does have a tendency to be super, super, super sensitive. So I just wanted to put that out there as a caveat. Currently, I use this as my sweetener out in the shop. I have my UV1 by Behringer, which is kind of my all-purpose unit for the single mic setup. I do a single mic setup in here. I do a single mic setup out there. And with my C1000 out in the shop. And this and the C1000 work really well together. I keep my input at around 4 and I keep my gain reduction around 6, and that seems to be the sweet spot for this unit for that application. I get good sounds from my amplifiers, and it picks up my voice just fine, and it adds a little bit of sweetness. It's a much nicer compressor, obviously, than what's built into the UV1. So that is my application for this. However, I don't really use it here in the studio because it is a mono unit, and most of the time when I'm doing the kind of miking that this would work best with, like say acoustic guitars or something like that, I use two microphones. I use a stereo pair of NT5s. So let's go over real quickly the feature set of this. This is a very simple device. You've got XLR input and output along with TRS inputs and outputs on the back. On the front, you have your on-off switch, you have line, and you have bypass switches right there. And then over here is the important stuff. Rather than having a bunch of knobs, what I do appreciate is that it has these little toggle switches. And so you can switch, what the meter is reading, output or input. But here's the important stuff. You've got your attack, which you can have at fast, medium, or slow. And then you have your... That's hilarious. Your attack and release. The attack and the release, I was having trouble because I normally wear glasses, but I don't wear them on camera because of the glare, so that's hilarious. But your attack and your release are just on these little three-way toggle switches. Super easy. You've got, fast, medium, and slow. I find that I keep it on fast attack, slow release. That seems to work best for this particular unit. It is kind of also my default setting for compression in general. So that's how I set it up. That's how I use it. Would I advise you, the viewer, to go out and spend a lot of money on one of these? I do not know what the current MSRP is on this unit. I will put that up on the screen after I do some research during editing. But I know that I spent about, and I got a discount on it, I think I spent $650 on this little mono unit, but that was like 16 years ago. 16, 17 years ago, a long time ago. And as I was purging my analog studio to move towards using a DAW, I hung on to this because I just thought, would I ever buy this unit again? And the more I thought to myself, I was like, no, I have it. Why get rid of it? I'll keep it. and I'm using it in a very humble way out in the shop, just, off of a single microphone, just to sweeten things. But every video you've ever seen where I'm out in the shop setting, this is the compressor that's in use. So anyway, if you want a good quality, tube-based, all analog compression unit, they also have preamps and other things. Summit is a great company to look for. I have no complaints about the build quality. I've replaced the tube in this and been inside of it. It is a beautiful piece of machinery. However, is it something that's absolutely necessary? I would say no, not in the slightest. But it's a fun piece to have, and I can recommend Summit as a company, and their products are high quality. All right, once again, this was not sponsored, and if you've made it this far into the video, please hit like and subscribe. I hope that going over the settings and the touchiness of this unit, if you do happen to have one of these and you've run into trouble, kind of like, trying to get a good sound out of it, or you're getting those artifacts or a little bit of clipping, just back that input gain off. The unit will do the work. You just don't want to crush the unit, because then it just is not happy if you put too much signal through it. All right, you take care, hit subscribe. Likes and shares are greatly appreciated. And we'll see you next time. Leave something in the comments.